Thank you guys so much for joining in. This is our first episode of Think Big, Go Anywhere, a production by Pivt Enterprise and Limitless Minds. And on this show, we're so excited to introduce it to you. We will be interviewing some of the most inspiring and influential people across multiple industries on how a community, a focus on well-being and mindset have allowed them to live purposely and limitlessly anywhere. As I mentioned, this is brought to you by Pivt, which was started out of my own experience relocating to London for work, not knowing anyone and facing the issue that all people do when moving to a new and unfamiliar place, which is how do you go about making your new city feel like home? So Pivt is the social app designed specifically to reduce turnover and improve the well-being of relocated and mobile employees. I am so excited to introduce you to my co-host, the co-founder and CEO of Limitless Minds, Harry Wilson.
What's up, Lynn? This is gonna be fun. So I'm Harry Wilson, as Lynn mentioned. The CEO and founder of Limitless Minds, which is a mindset and wellness technology company. We were founded back in 2018, really as a consulting company, with the hope to take people who want to be motivated and give them a tool to elevate their game. What ended up happening is we quickly realized that there was an opportunity for us to democratize the idea of having a mindset coach. And that's what we've done. So one of our co-founders, Russell Wilson, who's my brother, my younger brother, and then a peer of mine, DJ Eidson and Trevor Mowat, decided to start this company. And so here we are, but it's been a fun ride. We work with organizations across the globe, Johnson & Johnson, Novo Nordisk, Bristol Myers Squibb, Microsoft, Amazon, et cetera, on helping them activate potential and optimize performance together. So as we move forward, we're taking what we've done at the enterprise level and also going to consumer in 2022. So it's just an exciting time. I'm super pumped about working with Lynn on this project and also just interviewing these guests that we have and learning from them along the way. So exciting. I'm glad we're launching this.
I'm so excited, and we're starting off with a really great one. Someone that I've learned a lot from in the past, and I'm really excited to share him, with everyone else, and especially you, Harry. So I'm excited to introduce Shawn Tsao, who's actually we're lucky to have him as an investor in Pivt. But Shawn is an entrepreneur, a restaurateur, and an investor. He's most notably known for the food delivery service Caviar, which was first bought by Square and then acquired by Doordash. So Shawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, happy to be here.
So Shawn, I'll give everyone a really quick overview about you and even further one. And I'm so inspired by your experience, as I've told you many times. I know Caviar was initially started because, you wanted your sandwich delivered. And the only way that you were able to do that was by pinging someone on TaskRabbit.
Yep.
And so, like many great companies, this was founded out of your own frustration. I know that, you first launched Caviar in San Francisco, where you started just delivering one burrito, and you had about 5 orders a day, and you were you were able to kind of take that from what I call from zero to hero. So we're so excited to learn more about it, and if you wouldn't mind just telling us, briefly what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, for sure. So the concept of Caviar came about back in 2011. My co-founders and I, we actually had another startup called Munch on Me, which was a daily deals company, which went through Y Combinator. At the time, Groupon and Living Social were like the biggest names in tech. And when Groupon IPO'd and they failed hard, down went our entire industry. And so at the time, we weren't sure if we wanted to continue to be entrepreneurs or maybe do we go back to a 9-to-5 job, right? And while we were thinking of what we should be doing, we were talking to our restaurant partners about issues that they had. And for them, it was just mostly about making more revenue, getting their reach to more people. Um, and at the same time, like you mentioned, I was trying to get a sandwich from Ike's Place, which is a really famous sandwich spot in the Bay Area. And the only way I could get it was through a TaskRabbit, and it was like took me 3 hours, $20 delivery fee, and it was just such an awful experience. I just thought, you know what, I can do this better. And so my co-founders and I, we tried to build out exactly what we have today, and we grew from one restaurant to now hundreds of restaurants on the platform. I guess, when we built out Caviar, the first thing we thought about, like, we should build something that serves us and also the restaurants that we partner with. The problem that we had with Daily Deals was that restaurants actually almost went bankrupt through Daily Deals, and that helped them. Like, it didn't help them at all. And so we were thinking, let's build something that actually helps restaurants and is something that we would want to have in our day-to-day lives. Because one of the problems in our previous company was that we weren't even using our own coupons. So we called it dog fooding. Like, we weren't dog fooding our own product. And so we thought, okay, we need to have something that even I would want to use every single day. And so we pushed forward with Caviar, and we did use it every single day. And and the rest is history.
That's amazing. It's such a great story. And Shawn, I was so inspired as well by, how you bootstrapped your marketing, because obviously it's so hard to get right, but both the consumers on and the restaurants on at the same time. And can you share with us a little bit more about how you bootstrap that and how you got your users?
Yeah. So one of the things that we learned from our previous startup was we needed to find ways to contact our target customer base. And what we realized was that all these restaurants that we were signing already had tens of thousands of fans and loyal customers. So I figured, okay, I will just put a bunch of flyers and banners inside the restaurants that we partner with. And on top of it, some of these restaurants didn't have their own site or Twitter handles, Instagram handles at the time. And so we just did it for them. And we, you can just have the website of the restaurant, the menu, and we had a button that says get it delivered. And it went right to the Caviar website. And so I guess that was our hack of trying to gain customer use or customer adoption. And it worked really well. This is just right at the same time social media influencers were getting really big. And we saw the impact of it because as soon as we had a restaurant's Twitter handle, we tweeted get this famous sandwich delivered by Caviar. We all of a sudden we had like hundreds of thousands of signups.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. But now you probably have to pay for all these tweets before it was free.
Right. Well, it's interesting, right? Because what I've experienced as a founder and CEO is a potpourri of challenges along the way too, right? And I'm
Absolutely.
sure that you've had stumbles and like things that like were like whoa, like weren't expecting that, or that punched you right in the nose, whether it be raising the capital if you did that, and we'll talk about that, or just the product and learning from the user and like. Tell me a little bit about the mindset that was required for you guys to, you and your founding team, to like build a team, to build a product, to market that product and have success, and any stumbles along the way that were kind of a part of that roadmap.
Yeah, definitely. There were stumbles every single day.
Yeah.
I would say great founders are great firefighters because we're taking out fires every minute of the day. And all these obstacles can really get you down, really stressed. But what I loved about my team was that we always had like a bit of optimism in us. we're like, okay, this was bad, but we solved it, and now things are good. And we never looked at it as, we never stressed over little things too often. We always wanted to look at the big picture. It's like, okay, the product is still headed in the right direction, even though we had these hiccups. We were able to solve them because we're capable people, and we're moving forward. And so we always had to had like a bit of optimism in us every single day, because it's just stressful event after stressful event. And of course, like when we're raising capital, we are bombarded with, no, this is not going to work, this is a bad idea, like, we're not going to fund you. And they can really bring you down. Like I've come out of VC meetings, I'm like, man, that was brutal, essentially like telling us we're never going to make it. And so you really had to have that optimism in you. And it's great to have like other founders, co-founders around you who have that positive vibe. It's like, hey, we can do this. And along the entire journey, it was my co-founders having each other's backs that really carried us all the way to the end of the journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's there's, as you mentioned, there's so many ups and downs, and so to have someone that you can just that knows what's going on, that you can talk to about that, it is so important to founders. I joke to our team that I could probably make wallpaper out of all the no's that I've gotten from investors and clients, and someday, after Pivot, maybe I'll take that on as my next venture. But it's a roller coaster. It can't be underestimated, and the right mindset is absolutely key.
Shawn, I was gonna actually say, like, optimism, it's a perfect word for like what's required. I mean, and I'll send you this book. It's called It Takes What It Takes. It's by our co-founder, who actually now is our late co-founder, passed away a couple months ago.
Oh wow.
Like after a battle with cancer, which is another podcast on that. But it's called It Takes What It Takes. And I actually probably have it right here. It's like this, right? But he talks about neutral thinking. Shawn, I don't know how much you've heard of that before. But it's this tool that we've been working on with like a lot of the businesses and the clients and users that we work with today, because it's like, usually if you're reading a self-help book or anything on your shelf, right, it's like positive thinking, is kind of really the product. But positive thinking is hard. Like when, like, pardon my French, but when shit hits the fan, like, you know what I mean? And it does often, like, it's just hard to be positive when it's like, when life's like, life's hitting you right in the face. And so, but we also know that we feel like positive thinking is great, and it is, but there's actually not a lot of data that supports that it works, which is kind of surprising. But there is a lot of data that supports that negativity works. The problem is that it works negatively. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Trevor Moawad was one of this guy that like spent all this time working with some of the most elite teams and organizations in the world, particularly in sports, right? And they figured out that in order to get these athletes to really buy in, instead of focusing on positivity, was let's focus on negativity. Let's focus on their ability to minimize or eliminate it from, their what they're saying out loud, right? To the people around them, to the news that they watch and the social media that they're on, all these different things. And that really helped them build like unbelievable teams at places like Alabama, for football, right? Like a dynasty was built around neutral thinking, right? And but really neutral thinking is optimism. Optimism is like, there's a scale in optimism, right? Optimism isn't just one thing. It's where am I at on that, between that negative and that positive, right? And a lot of times the neutral is optimal. So, I mean, the teams that you're building and that ability to be optimistic is really just a function of, let's just take facts, right? And let's match those to behaviors. Like, here are the 1 or 2 or 3 things that we can do moving forward over the next 60 days. Right. Let's just focus on that. Right. And let's not focus on results. Let's just focus on the behaviors that it's going to take to win. Right. And it sounds like those are some of the, like, what you guys implemented, whether you knew it or not, is that concept.
That makes sense. I think for us, it was like, okay, we have an objective, right? and we had bullet points of what does that mean to meet that objective. Everything else outside of those bullet points do not matter.
Right.
Like even if it looks bad or whatever, if those 2 bullet points I put down as the key results to the objective, if they're working, it's fine. We're good. Everything else, no matter how bad the optics may look, it doesn't matter.
Right. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Shawn, in speaking about team, we know, Harry and I both know how important it is to surround yourselves with an incredible team. And I know, you can speak to that both as an investor and a founder. I'm sure as an investor, that's the first thing that you look at a seed stage company, right? Expecting them to pivot one way or another, but you're investing in the team. So, I know that you had some ups and downs with your co-founders. How did you really navigate that? Because that's inevitable, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every startup company will go through some sort of co-founder problem issues. A lot of it for us, a lot of it came down to just communication. I think what happened was we started off with 5 co-founders. And along the way, unfortunately, we had a division of, I guess, there's a lot of like internal problems between a couple of our co-founders. And the major thing was that both of those guys kind of held back like their thoughts. And so what happens was they built resentment towards each other all the way until like there was no way we can solve this, and one of them had to leave. If looking back, if I could change something, I would have had like a co-founder retreat or like a therapy session almost maybe every other week, where just like just let out all your feelings and thoughts, and there will be no repercussions afterwards. Because the resentment that built was that really could have brought down our company. Because there was a certain point where I thought, okay, if we lose these guys, like we might have to shut down the company. We might have to stop the website. We might have to stop everything. And so, but luckily, like we were able to keep things going. One of the co-founders, like he left, but like we came to some sort of resolution at least. But it was not ideal at all. And things could have been better if we talked.
I mean, it sounds like kind of any relationship, I mean, you could have been describing, if I just signed on and let's start listening, I could even talk about a marriage, right? Or, your best friend from college or whatever, right? It's just like, any relationships, like communication and expectations, right?
Absolutely.
Like a lot of times, like marriages or relationships, business or personal, like when they have challenges, it's mismanaged expectations.
Absolutely. No, 100%.
Mismanaged based on a lack of communication, right? So,
yep.
With 5 founders too, that's a lot of folks. We started with 4 and we lost 1 for different reasons, right? And so I feel you because, Lynn, I told you I wanted to ask Shawn this question offline, and this is kind of seems like a really cool segue to this, because talk about team, talk about communication, those relationships, the things you wish you could have done, like those like weekly retreats or every other week or a month, or some way to like let people. And I mean, you guys were founded in what, 2012?
We launched 2012. Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know, how when I navigated from the years, like as far as like founders and folks departing, but that was a while ago, like relative to what that seems 2012. I have a 9-year-old who was born in 2012, right? I don't know what happened before then, right? But so here we are in a post-pandemic world, right? I say post with quotes because I don't know. I guess it's not over, right? But we're in this new world, many of us are remote, right? Some of us have started companies during this pandemic, or we moved jobs or whatever. And in the case of folks that might be listening and watching, I'm curious your philosophy, both as a founder and an investor, right? And also with Lynn being on here and like who has this fantastic mobility solution, like what's your philosophy on remote teams, right? And I'm asking this personally because I founded a company and we're all remote. We do have some people in same cities, but it's almost by kind of happenstance and like kind of hiring. But like we got founder, myself in Louisville, Kentucky. We got a founder in Cleveland, by the way, Cleveland, backyard.
Oh, all right. All right.
We'll ask you about that in a bit. I know
that's DJ. Introduce you to him. And then of course, Trevor was in LA and Russell is in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
All over the country, right? We have teammates, we have team members in those same cities. We have some teammates in Denver. We have a few folks that are international in Guatemala, for example. We're all over the place. We believe that our culture is fantastic, but like I wonder from an outsider perspective, somebody who kind of played in the Bay Area,
mm-hmm.
like how do you feel about today and the remote work and building culture and team in that environment?
Oh, so hard.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's actually you really have to be diligent about culture on a everyday basis, because when we were building out our company, and I can say that for my fellow friends who are entrepreneurs as well, they the ones who did well were they were together with their co-founders 24/7. That's why we, like in the Bay Area, we had hacker houses, we had live work studios. Like those are extremely popular because it made sense for them to live and breathe with each other, and they were able to build a culture because they were together. And what I thought was important when we started hiring employees was that when our employees were able to see us working and being in the same environment as us, like it's how do you replace the time that you're not talking to each other?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a certain feeling of production when you know that your other co-founders there is working at it, going away with whatever he's doing. Like you feel more productive when other people are being productive around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like sure, we have Zoom and all this to replace in-person meetings, but how do you place the time in between meetings?
Mm-hmm.
Those are actually really important ways to establish culture at a company.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I don't think there's a real solution to having remote work right now, because it's still new.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen it succeed with a lot of companies, and how do they do it? They are messaging each other every single second of the day.
Yeah.
And they have, they make sure they have non-work related events or just stuff happening throughout the day or through the week. And they're very consistent about it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even in-person on-sites, are so important. But Shawn, I would love to kind of dig a little bit deeper on this, because I remember you told me that in order to motivate your employees, you had a whiteboard, which had, your cash flow and your revenue goals. And you were motivating your employees because they saw that every day, right? And it got to the point where you built, such a great culture where you started, bringing in wine experts and all these different ways to kind of, relate to all different types of employees, where, when you were acquired by Square, people were asking to join your team. Would love to learn a little bit more about that. And, to Harry's question, do you think some of this could be replicated digitally? Because I think, in this war for talent, companies are going to be forced to at the very least work hybridly. And so, you have to start to think about, okay, this is not a choice for us anymore. If we want to get top talent, this is how we're going to have to do it. and we have to do whatever we can to keep them engaged, to try to create a strong company culture digitally, and to, you know, ultimately motivate them in new ways.
Yeah. What I didn't realize at the time was that when we were doing we had an employee who was like a wine expert, and I was like, oh, you should do like a session to teach us about wine. And we had a beer expert actually, and every week he would kind of bring in his like beer of the week. I had other people who I learned about their hobbies, and I was like, hey, you should tell us about it. Let's get to know you. Um, and and then we also had group sessions with multiple teams together, and we just kind of expressed our thoughts about the company, what we're working on. For me at the time, I thought it was just going to be fun. I just want to do something fun for our employees. And what I realize now is that I was allowing their voices to be heard.
Yeah.
And that might be a problem with remote work is, are your voice being heard with the rest of the company and the rest of the employees? And, you know, it doesn't have to be work related. Essentially I just pretty much force people to do essentially like a talent show of sorts, but just of their hobby. Like, I want you to teach me something you know really well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just to like, and I made, I wanted to make sure there's certain people that were able to voice their thoughts of, their hobbies, their interests, whatever it is. It didn't have to be company related. That way they felt very engaged with the rest of the company. And that's totally doable if you're working remotely. You can easily have like, hey guys, we're having a wine session that's led by one of our employees here. And it's not, I just don't think it would be too hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, we've because we've really been remote almost the entirety of our business. And, and so with all the platforms that exist, right, from Zoom to Slack, like it's all constant communication. But obviously we're a mindset company, and part of mindset, one of the little tools that's like a really great daily habit, if you're not doing it, by the way, is gratitude, right? Mm-hmm. So we started this gratitude channel on Slack. So every day, like it's a habit now. Everybody at some point in the day, usually people do it in the morning, but sometimes if somebody doesn't get to it, they'll just express something they're grateful for. And it's really interesting because it's a really cool lens into what's important to people. I love your talent show, kind of show and tell idea. I might implement that. It's pretty cool. This works really nicely for us because we get to exercise kind of just a small part of our product, you know what I mean? And kind of act as if we're a user, because that's part of what we ask users to do on our platform. And so we get a chance to kind of do that ourselves, right? Eat our own dog food, as you would say, right?
Yeah.
But it's really neat because I get to know Amanda, I get to know Allie, I get to know Xavier, I get to know DJ, I get to know, and like what's important to them, and maybe even what they did that weekend because of something they're grateful for. Usually pops up that's really current for them, And so then when it comes down to a moment that there's something happens personally for them, I can execute something for them that's maybe based on what I know they're grateful for, right? You know what I mean? If I'm sending a gift card, it's not just a random gift card. It's to that restaurant I heard you say something about 2 weeks ago, right? Or whatever. And so that's been a really cool exercise for us. We have these Limitless Connect calls that we do, certainly weekly, maybe twice a week. In fact, I think I have a one app right after this, and it's really just kind of like happy hour without the happy hour part. It's usually like off work subjects, right? Trivia. There's somebody will bring something to the table, trivia, right? Like one of the questions I brought up in the last Limitless Connect call was like, this is a big question, so I don't know what your answer might be, but it's like who is the greatest vocalist of all time, male and female, right?
Vocalist,
right? And obviously there's a lot of options, right? But it was cool to hear people's answers, and we spent an hour talking about it, right? We got a lot of people. So I mean, I think that we really are learning how to build team and culture in this world where you don't see people, right? And there are a couple of people on my team I've never met. It's wild, right? Never met.
Great.
You don't even know how tall they are, right? Like you're playing a guessing game, like, and you're surprised. Oh my god, you're 6'4"? I had no idea. So it's so it's definitely been a journey, but it's something that I think about a lot, right? And especially as we build the future of our business and we start to really go from 10 or 12 people to, 50 people to 60 people, right? And that's where it's be some decision
that makes
making.
sense. When the larger the company becomes, the harder to get deeper connections.
Yeah.
Because the bigger the company, you maybe have like a top level connection with somebody. It's just like a very business relationship. But when you have a smaller team, it's easier to get to that second layer of like, oh, what's your hobby? What do you do? What do you like? What do you listen to?
Mm-hmm.
And then like the next layer is like, hey, let's hang out after work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where I wanted our staff to get to, where when they clock off or they're done with whatever they're doing, that they're going to hang out with their coworkers.
Yeah.
I'm really proud that 2 of my former employees got married.
That's cool.
That's
I'm
huge.
like, okay, it worked.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So Shawn, I think, with remote work, as you know, one of the things that we're seeing, especially at Pivt, is that people are taking this opportunity because they can work from anywhere, or more flexibly, that they're taking the opportunity to move somewhere new. Or they're saying, okay, if I don't have to go into the office, I'm going to spend my winters in Colorado and my summers in Hawaii. And so, I know that similarly, you moved to Cleveland because you had that flexibility to work from anywhere. Can you tell us a little bit about, your journey and, your move to Cleveland and what you wish you knew before moving?
I wish I had Pivt, for one. What I didn't know going into Cleveland was how difficult it was to make new friends when you don't work physically in that city. So what happened was that after I had left Caviar, I moved to Cleveland with my then girlfriend, who was going to medical school. And so at the time I was able to work remotely for everything that I was doing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to move to Cleveland. No big deal. I'll just talk to my friends online, or I play a lot of online gaming stuff, and I play with my friends. And I was like, okay, it should be fine. But the thing is, all my friends work 9 to 5 and all that. So during the daytime, like I'm not really talking to anyone else. And I tried to join some clubs or like volunteer groups in the city of Cleveland, and I just did not mesh with anyone there.
Yeah.
It was just weird. Like I just felt like my background just did not mesh well with the locals, or it's kind of difficult when you relocate and you're working remotely and you're not you don't have coworkers who can show you around or take you out to drinks and really communicate with. So it got pretty depressing, and at a certain point I didn't want to be there. I wanted to always go travel with my friends or go back to San Francisco. And I had missed some of the culture the startup culture that I had in San Francisco that I couldn't really find when I was in Cleveland. Or it was difficult to find like-minded people, like extremely difficult. I looked on the internet in group forums to see if there were people like me, and it was it's difficult. The only person that I made a friend was at the gym, because I saw him every day at the gym.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah. No, it's real, and I think it's a very relevant problem to a lot of people right now. As they're trying to contemplate, how am I going to take advantage of this flexibility? And it's something that companies need to think about too, as we were talking about company culture and and how do you support employees wherever they are. It is, no matter how you slice it, it's hard going somewhere new. It's one of the top 3 most stressful life events. And I think it's becoming a reality for many people during this time.
And I think it's, we've seen it really a part of, everybody's kind of mental health, right? I mean, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, during the pandemic, whatever, that, your relationships with people are, are often really tied to, depression, your overall mental health and well-being. There's a lot of data that supports all of those things. And so, we saw through the pandemic, of course, loneliness I think is almost, it's like a disease, right? And so going somewhere new and not having that core group. I mean, when you're in SF, or when I was in Chicago, really what made the city was the people, luckily for me, right? But I could take those same people and be in, I don't know, you name the place, right? I could be in, Glen Burnie, Maryland, or somewhere random, right? And
yeah, absolutely.
Random. And that it would be a wonderful, the city would be because I was with my people, right?
Yeah.
So when I moved to Louisville, the relationships I had were mostly Courtney's family, right? Her parents, who are great. If they're watching this, I want them to know they are awesome. Come over anytime. But they live 2 minutes and 17 seconds from us. I don't know who's counting, but that's exactly how far away they are. But they, that was my relationships, right? So it took a while to build those friend groups, and even still, I probably, have a smaller friend group than I would have maybe imagined, but maybe a part of it's the stage of life that I'm in. But in that, I think that's why I think what Pivt's doing is so fantastic. The ability to have a tool that can help you kind of, with that big move and really potentially impact a lot of different other areas of your life is critical. So it's beautiful. But and I think it's, to me, again, it's just almost like those founder relationships, that founder story you told us. It's like a lot about relationships and, the ability to have a network and communication and have the right people around.
It affects every part of your life. So I moved to Cleveland for my girlfriend, and after that horrible experience being in Cleveland, it really affected my mental health. I was definitely pretty sad every time I was there. And just everything just ended up irritating me. I didn't have close friends there to talk to. I didn't have anyone to have fun with. My girlfriend was busy with her medical school education and her friends, who I couldn't really relate to as well. And, we ended up breaking up because of all those reasons. And then the first thing I did was move right back to San Francisco, back to my friends. I actually thought about moving to New York or LA where my family is, but my first immediate thought was I want to move back to my friends. I definitely went from super depressed to 180 of that, of just a lot better mental health once I moved back to be to my friends, to people who I loved and being around.
Yeah.
Shawn, is there anything? So kind of, you're an expert, obviously, on food. Both Harry and I are really focused on kind of getting outside of your comfort zone and how to do that. Do you do that with food when you go to a new place, whether it be Cleveland or, somewhere abroad? Do you try to get out of your comfort zone in regards to food? And what are your tips around that?
Absolutely. When I was a kid, I loved watching a show called with Andrew Zimmerman. It was it's like he eats weird things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he said on the show was I always try something twice. And it's okay, I'm gonna do that too. You always gotta give something a second chance.
Yeah.
And I love learning culture behind food. And so wherever I go to travel, be it to the East Coast, to the South, to the Midwest, I want to try the local food. What and why do you eat this? What was the history behind this food? It makes the experience a lot better. And like as much as like Cleveland kind of sucked for me, like when I lived there, there were things I learned about the city through all their microbreweries, through their corned beef, and even the small Chinese population that's there. Actually, one of my favorite Sichuan restaurants is in Cleveland called Sichuan Cuisine. Might be the only thing that I miss there, but but I learned about like, okay, like why is there a Chinatown here? I learned from the owners like, oh yeah, like a lot of people from this area of China immigrated to America. We established a township here in Cleveland, and like that's why I'm here cooking Sichuan cuisine. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So you learn about people's backgrounds and culture through food, and I love that.
That's cool.
That's
cool.
amazing.
I'm hungry.
Me too. So Shawn, we wanted to play a game with you. We're gonna try to play some sort of game on all of our episodes. So I'm gonna bring in my colleague John to introduce this game.
All right.
Fantastic. Harry, Shawn, it's great to be a part of this. And I think I got roped in. We have a running joke here at Pivt. I'm always eating during our internal meetings. I like to say it's because, in business development, I can't eat during my external meetings. But, I'm, I guess, the food guy here. And the other piece, I think, food goes to building community and communities are built around food. And to your point earlier, it takes a mindset and a perspective to explore a place through its cuisine. So given you are a food connoisseur, we wanted to play a quick game with you called Guess That City. We're going to do a signature dish for cities around the United States, and you're going to have to guess what that city is.
All right, I'm nervous.
Some will be easy, some will be more difficult. We've already had some feedback from our guy from Louisville here, Harry, that our very scientific study here wasn't quite accurate, but we'll give it a try.
Okay.
To start, we're going to start with the po' boy. So where is the po' boy?
New Orleans.
From? All right. That is correct. And yeah. Okay, there we go.
It's a game show.
Yeah, so next one might be a little bit more difficult. I really love the name of this. It's called the garbage plate. Where do you think that comes from?
The garbage plate. Oh my.
What's in it?
So I think it's like the garbage refers to like everything. So like pork, potatoes, bacon, beef, cheese, anything you can find, throw it on the plate.
I didn't know if the ingredients would give a hint.
Oh man, I don't think I know this one.
Well, I'll give you a hint. So obviously you spent some time near the Great Lakes. This city also relatively close to the Great Lakes. Upstate
Is it Detroit?
New York. This one is Rochester, New York.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful Rochester. So I think we've got a. That's harsh.
Sorry, Rochester.
Yeah, sorry, Rochester. Clearly, you haven't gone. So let's see what else we have here. So this one sounds pretty delicious. We've got the gooey butter cake. Any idea where that's from?
Gooey butter cake. I don't know if I even had this before.
So you've had the garbage plate, to be clear.
Actually, I've heard of it, but that's why I thought it was like Detroit, because I thought I may have heard of it when I was in Detroit. But butter cake, man, I have. This is telling me that I have not traveled enough in the U.S. I'm going to say Wisconsin. I don't know.
Is St. Louis.
Actually. St. Louis.
I respect that guess though, because you were probably thinking butter and dairy and
That's definitely putting 2 and 2 together there, but in this case it did not equal 5. So let's see. Let's go with something a little bit more relevant to our childhood. So the Twinkie. Where is that from?
Oh my gosh. I knew this when I was a kid. Oh Is it from Philly? It's not right.
We'll let you take that one back.
Twinkie. Oh man, I don't know.
So you might recognize the state, not going to know where it's from. It's from Schiller Park, Illinois. So I guess we'll save you the wrong audio on that one.
Is Schiller Park right outside of Chicago?
Yeah. Okay. Pretty much close to Chicago, but yeah, definitely originated in Illinois.
Wow.
So that's an interesting one. Let's see, what else do we have here? This one I thought was interesting. The Clams Casino.
The Clams Casino. Oh, you are giving me some really tough ones here.
No, I didn't want to make it too easy. I figured, guy from Caviar, he probably has tried a lot of the local cuisine across the state. So had to dig and get something off the shelf.
Houston?
No, this is Narragansett, Rhode Island.
Oh boy,
seafood.
Now thinking back, yeah, clams, New England area. That makes way more sense.
Yeah. Now this one, Harry's going to be a little disappointed, given the city, but we wanted to try this. This is Mojeska. It's like caramel covered marshmallows. Looks and sounds delicious. Curious if you know where that's from.
I have never had this before.
So wow. That is Louisville, Kentucky. Harry, as a resident, hadn't heard of it. So I guess I'm going to have to question our sources.
It's pronounced Louisville. So I was going to get you on that as well. But yeah. I had never had this before. I feel like Louisville's known. I guess somebody said, like, what's Louisville's food? I think they would, outside of bourbon, which is not a food, we won't count that, is what's called a hot brown. A hot brown, and so like you get that, and it's like a sleepy, like you eat that and you go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
So,
what is that, Harry?
I mean, it's like stacked on bread, turkey, like it's like gravy on it, the whole nine. But
my goodness,
like on my wedding, we had little like little mini hot browns, and they're delicious. But it's like you need to take a nap afterwards. But Jessica, I think it's another. I'll have to find one of those maybe at the local.
Yeah, you'll have to report back to our audience and let us know how
I don't like marshmallows that much, though.
Yeah, and then let's give you one more go here before we let you go. And I think the last one we can do here would be, let's go with the half smoke.
The half smoke. Ooh. All right. I clearly have not traveled enough in America. Half smoke.
I think we see a trend here. It's a lot of sandwich type things with a lot of other stuff layered on top of it.
That looks like a hot dog.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I can actually. I have tried this before.
Looks good. That's East Coast. I got East Coast.
Yeah, I'm thinking East Coast, Midwest. Pittsburgh.
Close. So that's Washington, D.C.
Really?
That is Washington, D.C. So, Harry, you were right on the East Coast. So we'll give you one last before we let you go.
I'm writing all these down. I'm going to go try them whenever I can.
Yeah, clearly report back. Let us know. Write a review on Caviar. But thank you for joining. It was fun. I think we'll try and play one of these segments with each of our guests moving forward. So thanks for lasting through this first try, and hopefully you got some ideas for things to try next time you travel to any of these cities.
Oh, I will. Awesome. I love that.
Fantastic. So I'm going to give the mic back to Lynn over here to bring us home. So let's see if we can figure out how to do that. And remove myself. There we go. Oop.
Thank you, John. That was fun. I think we have a tough critic there. I had no idea what any of these were.
Yeah,
those were tough. I mean, like I think we probably where. So where are you from? You say you're from LA, or you say from New York? I forget. Like
LA
with your family. Okay, so I don't know what's LA known for. Is there
green juice?
I would say we have some pretty good tacos there. We have a fantastic Mexican community, and then Yeah, probably like fresh juices or something. I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
what does Kim Kardashian eat? Like that's what I always know for. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for coming on with us. I certainly learned a lot. I hope everyone else did. We will be posting this, shortly on both the Spotify and Apple Music as a podcast. We hope that you guys enjoyed and that you'll join us on the next one. But thank you so much, Shawn. Really appreciate it.